If you walk into the library and you see a display that's so beautiful and so enticing with books that you want to take home and read, we have them on display because we want you to borrow them. This is not a museum, people. Borrow a book.
Alright guys, I gotta tell you, one of the themes of my videos, probably moving forward until the midterms, is that I know that we all care about national elections and national politics, but local and state politics are probably the most important politics that you should pay attention to, and the effect that it has on your life, because they affect your life more than national politics. And I am saying this because Democrats at a local level are a lot more progressive in some cases than those who are actually in Congress. And if you don't believe me, check out this legislation that is being introduced by a Virginia Democrat to charge parents with child abuse who refuse to affirm the gender of their child.
A delegate is introducing a new bill centered around parents and how they handle their child's sexual orientation and gender identity.
7 News reporter Nick Minach explains why this is controversial.
Right now, parents' rights and LGBTQ protections are a big focus in Virginia. Thousands of students in Virginia have walked out of class protesting Governor Glenn Youngkin's newly proposed model policies on the treatment of transgender students at school.
Trans rights are human rights.
And Governor Youngkin argues schools shouldn't keep parents in the dark about their child's sexual orientation and gender identity.
These same progressives in Fairfax County actually believe that they should lock parents out of their children's lives. They think that parents have no right to know what your child is discussing with their teacher or their counselor.
Democratic Virginia delegate Elizabeth Guzman is a social worker, and she's planning on reintroducing a bill in Richmond that she says would help protect LGBTQ children from their parents and guardians who may not be affirming of their child's sexual orientation and gender identity.
This is how we're going to push back.
Her bill would expand the state's definition of child abuse and neglect to include parents who do not affirm their child's gender identity or sexual orientation.
There's an investigation also in place that is not only, from a social worker, but there's also a police investigation before we make the decision that there's going to be a CPS charge.
What could the penalties be if, the investigation concludes and it's concluded that a parent is not affirming of their LGBTQ child? What could the consequences be?
Well, we first have to have an investigation. It could be a felony, it could be a misdemeanor, but we know that a CPS charge could harm, your employment, could harm your education.
And Alexandria, Nick Minach, 7 News.
And Delegate Guzman tells 7 News that she is hoping to pass the bill in the upcoming legislative session.
Yeah, so this is exactly why state and local elections matter, because some of these radical Democrats that are running in these races want to push insane policies like this. They want to make refusing to affirm your child's gender a form of child abuse, right? They want to bring misdemeanor or felony charges against you if you decide that, hey, you know what? I want my child to wait till they're 18 before they undergo some of these treatments that are life-changing and permanent. The long-term effects in which, a lot of these kids really don't understand. And when they grow older, they may actually regret undergoing these treatments once they actually understand what it means to transition your gender.
Some of the Dutch researchers gave some data about young adults who had transitioned and reproductive regret. And it's there. And I don't think any of that surprises us. I talk about it, but most of the kids are nowhere in any kind of a brain space to really, really, really talk about it in a serious way. That's always bothered me, but we still want the kids to be happier in the moment. It's always a good theory that you talk about fertility preservation with a 14-year-old, but I know I'm talking to a blank wall. And the same would happen for a cisgender kid, right? They'd be like, ew, kids, babies, gross. Or the usual stock answer is, I'm going to adopt. I'm just going to adopt. And then you ask them, well, what does that involve? Like, how much does it cost? oh, I thought you just like went to the orphanage and they gave you a baby. No, it's not quite like that. I think now that I follow a lot of kids into their mid-20s, I'm always like, oh, the dog isn't doing it for you, right? Yeah, they're like, no, I just found this, wonderful partner and now we're kids and da-da-da. So I think, it doesn't surprise me, but I don't know still what to do for the 14-year-olds. The parents have it on their minds, but the 14-year-olds, it's like talking with diabetic complications with a 14-year-old. They don't care. They're not going to die. They're going to live forever, right? So I think when we're doing informed consent, I know that that's still a big lacuna of that we do it.
Democrats want your kids to end up like this individual that I'm about to show you guys, Miss Casey Miller, who decided to undergo her transition at the age of 15 to 16 years old. Now that they're 21, they're having some regrets. Take a look.
Hey y'all, so I got out of my haircut, because my hair was driving me nuts, and I shaved it because I'm tired of watching my hair thin out, and it's less distressing if I shave it. So when I talk about being too far gone, I don't really know what else to call it. This is what I mean. This is how deep my voice is. It's gotten deeper over time, and it's settled. This is what I mean by hair loss. And it just keeps getting worse. It keeps thinning. It keeps receding backwards. And I'm not exactly sure that's coming back. Those are the main things when I talk about being androgenized to a point of no return. I really don't see those being fixable. So that's when I talk about, just kind of staying how I am, regardless of how I feel. That's why, just because I don't really see me personally being able to come back from what's happened so far. So I hope that's a little explanatory, just to kind of give a little bit more of a, let me reword that, just to kind of, talk about, give more awareness to the situation, kind of, so you can see where I'm at. Words are not working well with me right now. I'm just gonna cut this off. There you go. This is what happens when you give a woman testosterone. This for 5 years. This is what happens, essentially. So, that's it. Stay safe.
Yeah, so we have transgender doctors, like I showed you in that video, who come out here and say, look, talking to these kids about transitioning and what it actually means in the long term in regards to your ability to reproduce, what that's going to mean for your life. Honestly, it's not a conversation that they can really understand, okay? They can't really consent to this stuff, but we just got to do it anyways. And also having, numerous detransition stories or transition regret stories where people regret transitioning, okay, and making these decisions as kids, saying, look, well, I didn't understand that, I would lose all my hair. I don't quite feel right. This doesn't feel right. This is not what I thought it was going to be. Yeah, if you're a parent that's trying to stop that from happening, okay, apparently that is a form of child abuse. Again, trying to stop your child from being physically or chemically castrated is a form of child abuse, according to Democrats. Now, again, I know this is in response to Governor Greg Abbott, his initiative to try to make it a form of child abuse to affirm a child's gender for a parent to, push that on their kid, which I agree with. It is child abuse because children don't understand, right? They can't consent to this. Again, I have not heard one convincing argument for why not make a child wait till they're 18. I haven't heard one. Because we know that transitioning them doesn't really improve their mental health, right? It doesn't really, decrease the chance of them harming themselves, which is what the left always uses as an excuse for kids to undergo this stuff and do this stuff. So we know it doesn't help. So what is the argument against making kids wait until they're 18? There is no argument. But Democrats don't really care about the real facts, the science, the data, the evidence. They don't really care about that. They want to transition kids so bad that they will throw parents in jail. They will throw a parent in jail that denies their child the ability to undergo puberty blockers, hormones, and surgery. Just because in that child's imagination, they believe that they were born in the wrong body, that they have the wrong sex. Something that they're likely to grow out of. And if they actually understood the long-term effects and ramifications of transitioning, which again, if you make the wait to 18, there's more time for them to understand it. they probably would say, look, I really don't want to do this. I don't think this is a good idea, right? They're going to be a lot more hesitant. Again, these Democrats, man, they truly do believe in the state raising your kids. They want the state to raise your kids. And the state's agenda, or the Democratic state that is, this Democratic state's agenda is to transition your child, to make them BLM, LGBTQ, woke, uneducated activists, future Democrat Party voters, right? That is what they want. Again, this is absolutely insane. This is absolutely insane. But again, this is why state and local elections are so important. These are the type of policies that woke progressives that are running in these state and local elections are pushing. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.